Hi, welcome back to Danny Harris Arts in part 2 of this twin bass wood carving project. Like I said, in part 1 I'm going to be carving a largemouth bass, and I'm going to be carving a Kentucky bass or a spotted bass. And I started out, I've got the shapes down where I want them, but I'm going to refine them down just a little bit more with these. I got these padded sanding drums here, and I'm going to get them really smoothed out, and then I'll do some final hand sanding with some pads to get it ready to start putting the gills and mouth detail on here. So that's what I'm going to do today, and so I can get the camera around here and get started. Alright, so I got my pattern kind of laid out here. I got them cut open here where I can kind of draw in the lines, just getting close. So I can already tell I need to come down a little bit more off the top here. Extend this mouth on around here. I may have to bring that nose down just a little bit. I'm gonna get the pattern drawn on first. So that gives me, this is gonna be the spotted bass. You see I got the eye drawn in. The maxilla bone here only comes back to the eye, and on the largemouth it's going to come further back. So that's one of the differences in the spotted bass. So let me get the other side drawn on there, and then I will start carving this in, putting some detail in there. Okay, so I decided I need to bring that nose down just a little bit, so I used a cuts off bit to bring it down some more. So I'm gonna sand it now and draw the pattern back on, see if it fits better. I think the gills back here are fine. I just need, the mouth was not looking right. All right, now that I've got the patterns all drawn out, I'm going to start using carving the relief and the gills and the details. And I'm just going to be using my flex cut knives, and I'll cut down. I'll show you that here in a second. And I'll use this hooked skew knife to carve in the relief of it. And then as I go, I'll refine that. So let me get this down here where you can see. And all I'm going to do is just kind of make a straight down cut here. And I'm just following my lines that I drew on. So I'll show you this now. I'll take the skew knife and I come in at a sharp angle here, a steep angle. And that starts giving me the relief. By cutting straight down with the other knife, this will stop at that cut. You can use the heel of this too. Can you see that relief there it's giving me now? Get that at an angle where you can see the relief. It's kind of hard to see. There we go, you can see it a little bit there. Okay, so you can kind of see how that goes. And then what I'll do is I'll take come in here with a little flame burr here. I'm just kind of come in here and clean up a little bit. All right, so you can see that. Then I'm going to take, let me find them here. I've got these nifty neat little sanders here that I bought a few months back that I really like. And they're for detail sanding. And then they got an extra coarse. And then there's a coarse. And then there's a medium and then a fine. So I'll start out with this extra coarse here. And just start sanding this down a little bit. Making that transition from that relief in a little bit shallower. And these are spring loaded, so you can roll that around a little bit when you get to a spot that's bad. And you can do the same thing with a popsicle stick with sandpaper wrapped around it. But I like these little things, they're pretty cool. I like them. They work pretty good. And I'll switch to the next grit. Smooth it out some. You can buy these online. I bought these at Hobby Lobby, and then it comes with a whole set of extra belts. You can buy the belts separate. And I've had these for several months, and I hadn't even changed the sanding belts on them yet. So you can see how that's starting to pop out. And I'll do the same thing on both sides. And I'll start paying attention to detail, the actual anatomy of it here as I get a little farther down. I'll switch over to a medium here. That's just the fine. All right, I've got the all the relief detail finished on this one, the mouth and the lips. But I have just discovered, after looking at some anatomy pictures of a largemouth bass, the maxilla bone here. And if you notice, I've got the whole thing. I don't know if you can see it here or not. You can see the detail of the whole thing here. Well, I messed up because when the mouth is closed, the top part of the maxilla actually folds up, actually tucks up underneath a bony plate on the eye here. So this part right here is actually a part of the bone, part of the skull. So this part of the maxilla kind of tucks up underneath there. So this would actually be over the top of the maxilla, and the way I've got it carved here, the maxilla is on the top of it, and that's not correct. So I'm going to have to fix that. And I mean, just as many bass as I've caught and painted and drawn and looked at over the years, I've just now noticed that. So, and that's just from looking at reference photos of a skull of a bass. You can see that. And then looking at other photos, you can see it. So, and I just never caught it before. So I'm going to have to fix this to where this bone is over the top of the maxilla versus the maxilla being on top of it. You can see it here on this one, I think. Yeah. So this should be, this little bone here should come over the top of it. So I'm going to have to fix that. I'll do it right on this one. But that's just something I've never noticed before. So I'm going to get started on carving the detail of this one. And since you saw how I did most of it, I'm not going to show the whole process here. And then the next thing you'll see me doing will be, I'll show you the progress on this one after I'm done. And then the next thing I'll be doing will be cutting out the fins for it. So let me get started on this, and I will be back to show you the progress on it. And I need to fix this other one also so that that's correct. So I'll be back. Okay, so I got the rough relieved in, and now what I'm going to do is I go with this extra coarse, and I start smoothing all this down, the tool marks from the bit. And I'll start with the coarse and then work my way down to the fine. Yeah, I'm much happier with the way that maxilla looks being tucked versus on top. I know, you're not supposed to sand against the grain, but this isn't furniture. Somebody said that to me in a comment. And that's what I said to him. I said, I know that if this was a fine tabletop or something, I wouldn't do that. But it's not. I don't think it hurts one bit to sand across the grain on a wood carving fish. I try to go with the grain a lot of times, but there's just sometimes you can't. And you need to go against the grain, so that's what I do. So what I'm doing here is I'm defining that throat latch area. And it'll be similar to this when I'm done here. So I'm going to draw in a little raise here. All right. All right, that's going to be it for part 2 of this twin bass wood carving project. I got the mouth and gill detail all done on both fish, and there's some minor little touch-ups I'll do after I'll look at it for a day or two, and then I'll do those touch-ups, but I'll do that off camera because there'll just be minor little deals. Part 3 coming up is going to be fins. I've got the fin patterns all cut out and ready to go, and I'll show you how to lay those out and start doing the detail work on those. And it'll also include the tails, but I'm going to wait till last. I'm going to wait till after I do the other fins before I do the tails. So that's coming up in part 3. I also got a DIY project coming up here soon. It's going to involve these 3 nails, these 3 big giant nail spikes. And I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I will tell you it involves trout, carving trout. So you just have to subscribe to find out what that's going to be. All right, I'm going to take just a quick second to remind everyone about our new Facebook group called Fish Carving Inspiration. This is a group that's dedicated strictly to fish wood carving, and it's comprised of guys from this beginner to all the way up to guys that have been carving 20, 30 years and have won multiple world titles. So if you're a wood carver and you carve ducks or birds and you're thinking about carving fish, come on down and join us. If you're a fish wood carver, come on in. Even if you're a taxidermist and you're thinking about maybe carving a fish versus just painting a replica. I'm just kidding, that's an art in itself, but we'd love to have you. But the purpose of the group, like I say, is to raise awareness for fish wood carving, but just because we think it's kind of a dying art. And we'd like to have more participation in the World Taxidermy Fish Carving Championship, so maybe we can convince you guys and encourage you to come and think about coming down and entering a piece or two in 2026. So, but appreciate you guys watching again, and I'll see you on part 3 coming up here on making the fins.